I have to tell you, this is one of the people that I met this year that so impresses me. Linda Fisk, thank you so much for joining me for this.
Thank you so much, Connie. It is a pleasure and an honor to be on Kick Butt Leadership with you. Honestly, I'm such a big fan of this program. It's a bit of a dream come true to actually be featured. So thank you.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Linda. She is a multi-award winning leader, keynote speaker, author, university professor, dedicated to amplifying and extending the success of other high caliber business leaders. She is the founder and CEO of LeadHERship Global, which I'll tell you more about how much I love that in a minute. A community of unstoppable women enhancing their leadership blueprint and embracing their power to be the best version of themselves in work and in life. In LeadHERship Global, Linda supports and guides ambitious, creative women to move in the direction of their purpose, their mission, and their dreams with powerful connections, critical support, practical tools, and valuable resources to show up, speak up, and step up into their careers and personal lives. And I can personally tell you that when I first joined LeadHERship Global, at first I was a little overwhelmed by all the amazing people and the amazing things that I am learning. So Linda, thank you so much for the work that you do. She's also a PhD and an MA in clinical psychology and has written extensively on the subject of social comparison, depression, anxiety, subjective well-being, and personality theory, with a focus on relating scientific research to commonly understood concepts. She is truly a force to be dealt with. I can tell you that.
Thank you so much, Connie. That sounds very familiar because I tell you, you are one of the most dynamic leaders that I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the past year. So thank you so much.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask everybody. Were you a leader as a child? And I think I know the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I was organizing games even on the playground. I was organizing people into teams. I was organizing new ways of creating games. I was creating the rules. I was in all ways sort of working with people to do fun things, engaging things, challenging things, even at a very young age.
Wow. Okay, so being that great leader as a child, what are one or two of the skills that you use today that you learned as a child?
You know, one of the things I learned is that you can't just tell people what to do. People don't follow a leader who dictates. And even as a child, if I'd say, well, you're going to be the pitcher, or you're going to be the catcher, or I want you to be the doctor and I'm going to be the patient. No matter what role I assign someone, no matter what activity I ask them to participate in, if I dictated to them, they were likely to say, no, I don't want to do that. And I think that that same principle applies in leadership today, because the more that you can share your vision, share your mission, and simply invite people to come along with you, the much more enthusiasm and engagement and endorsement you're going to receive from the people you're working with. And that was true on the playground and certainly true in the boardroom. In all instances, people want to buy into an idea, a big mission, a purpose, something bigger than they are. They want to engage in those things that sound fun and rewarding and challenging and fulfilling. And they're anxious to be part of a dynamic team that's doing really impactful things around the world. And I tell you, I learned that very early on. The other thing that I learned is that people they are led as much by emotion as they are by their intellectual acceptance of a goal or an objective. So while even as a child, I may say, I want to climb that hill, who's with me? And people may say, yeah, okay, I can imagine climbing that hill and that might be fun. But really what they're looking for is the emotion associated with what it feels like when you climb that hill. So if I were to say, let's climb the hill, let's plant a flag, let's celebrate, let's have fun on top of the mountain, then I tell you, all the kids would follow me. And same thing with today's goals, that you have to buy into a goal, an objective, a mission, a purpose as much emotionally as you do intellectually. And I think that is the combination of appealing to people's emotional selves as well as their intellectual selves that really distinguishes a dynamic, effective leader from one that simply paints a very sterile sort of objective and has an expectation that people will follow him or her due to the hierarchy of the organization.
Well, I am a firm believer that you've got to have buy-in, and I can tell you that the team, you always know when you're living your purpose when people and resources show up. And my team showed up in April of last year, and they came to me, and when my partner, I kept saying to her, "Look, I want you as my partner," and she would say to me, "But you can't afford me." I said, "I don't care if I can afford you. That's not the point. I want you." And on April 1st, she came on board with me. And I really, truly believe that if you are in a supportive role where you are encouraging people and you're helping them to realize what their purpose is and what their vision is for their lives, then you create something absolutely special, very special.
That's absolutely right. I love that you brought that up because it's really about helping other people achieve their goals, their objectives, their dreams, and really helping eliminate the roadblocks or the obstacles that they may be facing to step into their purpose and their power that really distinguishes a leader that is truly effective, that's really authentic and genuine, and really purpose-filled and purposeful, from a leader who simply assumed a particular title, assumed a particular rank, but they haven't really embraced the idea of leadership as a concept.
One of the things that John Maxwell talks about is that you have to lead with your heart before you ask for a hand. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you have to care about the people that you're bringing on board. One of the missions with CKM Solutions is the fact that anybody that we bring on board has to have the same passion, the same vision as we do to make this company work and make the difference that we're trying to make. So tell me a little bit about how did you get from childhood and college to LeadHERship Global?
Early on, I realized that relationships are a powerful part of who we are. They can help us feel like we belong, like we have something to contribute to the world. They can strengthen us, and they can give us a reason to affect change, and perhaps even more importantly, to be changed. But it's often difficult to connect with people when we don't understand their background, when we don't really understand their worldview. I mean, how do we learn to interact respectfully and knowledgeably with the people in our lives who exist outside our inner circle? People whose culture, worldview is fairly far removed from our own. How do we use our differences to strengthen our bond as humans? And along my journey, I really dove into that particular question and that particular dynamic, both in my education through clinical psychology as a PhD, and also through my ability to rise through the ranks to a CMO position with one of the largest global organizations in the world. And what I found is that, much like what we were talking about, Connie, that relationships are a powerful part of who we are. And that sense of cultural competence is the ability to really understand, communicate with, and effectively interact with people across cultures. And when I was the chief marketing officer for a global organization that was a member-based, very prestigious, very, very high integrity organization that worked with some of the most dynamic trailblazers and pioneers in the world, I really understood to be aware of my own worldview and to develop positive attitudes towards cultural differences, to gain knowledge of different cultural practices and worldviews, and to develop skills for communication and interaction around culture and across cultures. So I would say that certainly that's been a big focus of mine in my in my studies through my PhD program, and certainly been a big part of what has shaped me. And so in LeadHERship Global, we try to create a global community that is welcoming to all women, no matter what their cultural background, no matter what where they live or what their industry is, or even what their position is. We want to create an environment that is warm and welcoming, that celebrates women, that lifts them up, and that helps them truly accelerate their own unique definition of success. Every single woman is different in terms of how she defines success personally and professionally. And so what we've tried to do is to advance not just diversity and inclusion for women all over the world, but to deeply understand how they define success, and then to help them accelerate that purpose, that mission, and that vision for their own lives.
Well, definitely the experience I've had with LeadHERship Global has been very dynamic, very, very diversified. And, there's so much conversation right now about diversification in the workplace as well as in our cultures. So and the thing that impresses me the most is how diverse and how willing everybody that's a part of LeadHERship Global is so willing to collaborate. I'm a firm believer that if the more you collaborate, the better it is for everybody. One of the things that you talked about in the thing you sent me was about how to create your own power tribe.
Yep.
And, one of the things you talked about in this is talking about having a safe environment. I, for the last 13 years, have belonged to an organization or a group called Awesome Females in Real Estate. And if you're just a real estate agent, that you're not invited. It's the CEOs, it's all the C-suite people that are women that typically don't have that safe spot. And Awesome Females is very much, it's as much retreat as it is a conference. We do talk about real estate, but in a totally different vein. And many of their CEOs of many of the big international organizations that belong to it and people like that. And they talk about the fact that this is one of the few places that they can go and feel safe and secure, that they know that whatever they're going to talk about is not going to leave the room. And that's one of the things I really appreciate with what you have created with LeadHERship Global.
I will say that I've learned that being in a community of other leaders allows you to have an outlet to continuously learn and improve in a confidential setting. And I think no matter what your title is, and no matter what level of hierarchy you've ascended to, you have to get exposure to new ways of approaching problems and issues, and new ways of leveraging opportunities. And to be able to do that in a safe, supportive environment allows everyone to grow and to advance and to be introduced to new possibilities. And I think within LeadHERship Global, members have an opportunity to not only develop friendships and network with other CEOs, but they have an opportunity to truly enrich their professional and personal life by being able to deeply and authentically connect with other leaders who are also lifetime learners. So I think it's really important, as you suggested, Connie, you found Awesome Females, but you have to find a leadership community that supports your own unique purpose and can improve the growth and profitability of your business, of your organization. And finding other leaders that are willing to authentically and very transparently share from the hard-won lessons and experiences that they have gained in their business. I think that those organizations that very generously share best practices on key issues, that they provide an outlet for members to share honest feedback, honest advice, when they have no conflict of interest, and they have the opportunity to collaborate with other leaders to work on the business rather than just in the business, that is a key differentiator. And one of the quotes that I really love is one from Aristotle, who said that excellence is not an act, but a habit. And so, in fact, this idea of striving for excellence, but within the community of women that are going to lift you up, that are going to connect you, provide resources and tools and advice and insight, and share with you the wisdom and experience of their journey. I believe that that's just priceless. You just can't even put a number on the value of that.
Absolutely. That's one of the things. So, like I said, I've been going to Awesome Females for 13 years, and it's wonderful, but it's all just real estate related. And I think nothing wrong with that. There's a lot to be learned from all these amazing women that go to this. However, having the diversity of all these different backgrounds, of all these different experiences, of all the different ways of doing things that I had, to be honest with you, I'd not really been exposed to before. And it's opening up a whole new world. I love the conversations I'm having with the individual women that are on the same board as me, and being able to truly dive into how we can support one another and how we can help one another has been really invaluable to me. So I really appreciate you. Talk about the 9 types of people you need to have in your network. What are they?
That's right. So there are several different kinds of people that you need to have as a part of your network. And that includes things like having an accountability partner, someone who is going to be honest with you about your promises, your commitments, and hold you accountable to your goals and your objectives. You need to have a cheerleader, someone who is going to cheer you on, who's going to lift you up on those difficult days, someone who is going to advocate for you and support you on what it is that you're trying to achieve. You need to have someone in your power tribe that serves as almost a mentor. So someone that has agreed to be in a more formal relationship with you that can provide you really experienced advice and guidance, and they can help you avoid those pitfalls along the journey that you're likely to make, or they can help you quickly advance your success and accelerate your definition of success because they have already walked down that path. They've already created that level of success in their own life, and they're happy to pass on those lessons to you. There are so many kinds of women that we need in our power tribe to keep us on point and to also ensure that we have the benefit of their encouragement, their support, but also their knowledge and their feedback. And one of the biggest recommendations I can make for all women is to ensure that your power tribe is diverse so that you have many age ranges, lots of nationalities, lots of backgrounds of women around you that can challenge your perspective, challenge your worldview, and can help introduce new ideas, new concepts, new possibilities, and new opportunities for you that you may not even be aware of. So having a diverse power tribe, I think, is the key to being able to accelerate your success.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. I mean, I think the more diverse we are, the more we are exposed to, like when I first started doing my Kick Butt leadership stuff, one of the gals, she was a millennial. She was in her early 30s. And we talked about doing something together where we've got a baby boomer and a millennial comparing notes. And we did it for a short period of time. Then she took another job and got too busy. But it was so much fun listening to how she approached things. And one of the interviews I did was with Bernice Ledbetter. She is the director for the Women in Leadership Institute at Pepperdine University. And she made a really good observation. You know, a lot of us baby boomers, we had this opinion of millennials that maybe they weren't as aggressive as maybe we are. But she made a really important point. She said, she says, millennials are totally into the fact that when the water rises, the boat rises, and they don't want to leave anybody behind. And then Sean Ager in his book, what's it called? I think it's called Big Advantage or something like that, talks about how important it is if baby boomers would have been, if we didn't have to be number one. I mean, we were taught that we had to be number one. If we had not been taught that, then how much further could a baby boomer have gone if we were doing more of a team? And so I think the more diversity, whether it's age, whether it's nationality, background, experience, I think it's so important because you learn from everybody. I have to say, my team is very diversified, and it's amazing to me the different cultures, the different way of learning that we experience. So I have to say, and anybody that has not looked up LeadHERship Global, you need to do so. So what are the plans for leadership for 2022?
We have one single purpose, and that is to accelerate the success of women all around the world. And we know that in the US population, women make up a little over half of the population and about 60% of the civil labor force. But interestingly, women are staggeringly absent from upper level positions in the American workforce. There's a lack of women in boardrooms. There's a lack of women in the C-suite. And while there's a long history of women's roles in the American workforce between wars and social movements and political climates, there's actually been very little progress that's been made in terms of gender equality in the workplace. And interestingly, in other places around the world, that disparity is even more shocking. So our purpose is to ensure that every single woman around the world has access to the resources, the funding, the connections, the introductions that they need to accelerate their purpose in the world, to really make an impact and to achieve the level of success that they see in their own life. It's interesting that both male and female managers are almost twice as likely to hire a man over a woman. And in fact, that most companies where 90% of the leadership are made of men, half the men at the company view women as being well represented. So imagine that 90% of the leadership is comprised of men. And yet those men say, oh no, women are very well represented. So this is a place of increasing a level of sensitivity to this issue, increasing a level of awareness, and then ensuring that we are giving women the connections, the relationships, the introductions, the funding, the support, the resources, the learning that they need to advance their own success.
I have to tell you that happened there was some research done by the California Association of Realtors here about 5 years ago. The woman that was the liaison between CAR and the brokerages was going out, and she came back, and the chief economist was a woman, an amazing woman. And she came back, she says, where are all the women? And even Leslie, who's spent 30 years in the industry, was saying, what are you talking about? And so they did a study, and they found out that there was very small present representation by women. There were women brokers and had been for many years, but it was a very small percentage in comparison to the amount of men. So they started this initiative, and it's primarily, the whole purpose behind it originally was to help women that wanted to go into brokerages become brokers, and then to mentor them with other people that were successful at it. And they did this survey, and they found out that besides the fact of having children at home, that is definitely a time where you may not want to be a broker. But the main reason, and I think this is probably true universally, is that women didn't feel they had the experience. That, men will say, well, they'll get a potential promotion, and they'll say, of course I can do that. Where women will be like, well, I'm not sure I'm capable. So an organization like LeadHERship or Women Up in the real estate industry, they're so important because yes, you can do it. And
right.
It's a hard lesson for women to learn.
You're so right. I mean, right now, women make up only 23% of C-suite positions in the US, and women of color make up only 4% of C-suite positions in the US. And that is, of course, very overt and subtle discrimination. But it's also the issue of confidence, which is exactly what you're pointing to. Confidence gives you the skills and the coping methods to handle setbacks and failures. Self-confidence doesn't mean that you sometimes won't fail, but you can handle the challenges. You won't be crippled by them. Even when things don't turn out anywhere close to what you planned, you'll still be able to avoid beating yourself up. And I got to tell you that I find that women are extraordinarily good at beating themselves up. We women I think we have a particular difficulty developing self-confidence compared with men. Women actually don't consider themselves ready for any promotion. They predict they'll do worse on tests, and they generally underestimate their considerable abilities. And yet self-confidence is absolutely linked to almost every element that involves a happy and fulfilling life, including workplace advancement. So, one of the things that I talk about in LeadHERship Global is I ask women to reflect for a moment on how self-confident they think they are, how self-confident they feel around work, how self-confident they feel with friends and with family, or how self-confident they feel about making a presentation at work or talking to a stranger. And I got to tell you, you and only you can make new things happen in your life. And if you wait for serendipity to provide you with good fortune or to increase your confidence, you're going to be waiting a really long time. I really believe that right now is the time that women need to tackle this issue of lack of confidence. They need to realize that the path towards self-confidence is one that only they can travel. No one else can do it for them. But it is time for them to really tackle this lack of confidence and keep in mind that this is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. But surrounding yourself with other women who are going to cheer you on, who are going to give you recognition, who are going to, be sure that you have what it takes to overcome those stumbles, overcome those obstacles, overcome those roadblocks or those setbacks. And they're going to cheer you on, they're going to lift you up, and they're going to encourage you is a great way to start the process of building confidence.
Oh, I have to tell you, you're speaking to somebody that knows exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I was born and raised on a farm in Nebraska, and I was very, very ill as a child. And I had a very rare kidney disease. The only reason I'm here is because my mom worked for a company that took me to the Mayo Clinic and saved my life, or I would have been gone at 14 or 15. And I didn't feel like I could do anything. I mean, it was part of my inner being for 50 years until I wrote the book Crystalline Moments. I did not feel that I was capable of anything. I didn't think I could write a book. I didn't think I could write a decent email. So I would read an email like 10 times to make sure that it was exactly what I wanted it to be. So I lived that life for so very long. And I think it's something that we're ingrained with our upbringing and depending on whatever that upbringing was. But we also, I mean, I call my team, I call them my badass awesome team, and they're all women. And I do it on purpose because I want them to understand how incredibly great they are. And because I understand what it's been like to be on the other side. So I am in awe. First of all, I'm in awe of you. I mean, you just blow my mind. And seeing all these amazing, amazing women that are willing to come together, collaborate, to share, and the different programs you have. So could you run through quickly some of the programs that you offer through LeadHERship?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 levels of membership that are really based around where someone is in their leadership journey. So if you have just pivoted, you're starting in a new position or a new industry, or you decide to step out of corporate America and create your own empire, create your own business, then we have a membership called Grow Your Leadership. And in that membership, we connect you, we help you learn to grow, to advance your definition of success. We help you define what that success looks like. And then we help you actually create the plan, the 5-year plan around driving that level of success. We help you with diagnostics, with assessments, with resources, with connections, with small group experiences, mentoring, coaching. You receive everything that you need in order to take control of that leadership vision you have for your life and advance it forward. The second level of membership is something called Expand Your Influence. And in Expand Your Influence, we actually connect those leaders who are looking to step onto a global stage and share their thought leadership with the next generation of leader. We actually help connect them to podcasts, to authorship platforms, to streaming television platforms. We help tell their story on a global stage. We have workshops that they can be a part of. We invite them to do webinars, to do challenges, to really share freely and openly with no cost associated with it, the incredible wisdom that they have gained through their career. And they have a platform to share that wisdom, share that insight and experience with a global network of women. And we think that that is a powerful way for them to really step into their purpose with power, with authority, with confidence, to be able to connect them to podcasts, to streaming television, internet radio, authorship platforms. And we really celebrate the ability to lift them up, increase their profile, and expand their influence. And the last level of membership is called Leave a Legacy. And that is for women who feel as though that they are living their purpose entirely. They may hold a CEO position. They may be an active investor. They may run a nonprofit. They may sit on a board already. And they say, listen, I have actualized everything that I envisioned for my life, but I'm ready to pay it forward. I really want to ensure that the next generation of leader has the benefit of all of my lessons, all of my learning, everything that I've experienced in my career. I want to pass on to the next generation. And at that level of membership, we provide women the opportunity to be a part of our mentorship program, to be parts of our CEO meetups, to be a part of all of our media platforms, but also to have unique opportunities to impact the next generation of leader. They serve as mentors and coaches and advisors for the women of LeadHERship Global.
What do you think is the best piece of advice that you could give to a young woman that has just started? Maybe she's in her 20s and she's just started this brand new business, and she doesn't have the benefit of having seasoned knowledge of what life is really like. What would be the number one thing you would tell them?
I would say be a lifetime learner. And what that really means is invest consciously, purposefully, and intentionally. Invest in your own success. This means don't wait for someone else to hand you an opportunity. Create that opportunity yourself. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is to carve out time to create your own power tribe, to constantly be seeking out opportunities to learn and grow, to expand your network, to increase your influence, to raise your profile, and to constantly be learning and growing. Be humble enough to know that in order to reach the heights that you were designed for, you have to be humble and you have to be a lifetime learner, and you cannot get derailed or distracted by the day-to-day obligations that you may have. You have to be purposeful and intentional in investing in your own success.
Oh, that's such great advice. I mean, oh my goodness. I wish I would have known you when I was in my 20s.
I wish so too. That would have been lovely. I wish we would have had a lifetime together, Connie.
Well, I know that as young women, a lot of times we make a lot of big mistakes that later on you look back. But I'm a firm believer that I call those crystalline moments. And crystalline means sparkly, clear, some moments of clarity. And there's always a gift or opportunity in that. So I think when we make those mistakes, whether we're young or old, there's actually a gift there that we need to look for. But surrounding yourself with people like are part of LeadHERship has just been, to me, just such an incredible, amazing experience. And I cannot wait until the end of next year to see where we are and what we're doing. And you're such a great leader, Linda. I'm so impressed with how you lead, and you definitely lead with your heart, which is very critically important to create an organization that you have here. And the women that are inside of it are just so mind-blowing. If you don't know anything about LeadHERship Global, just go to leadershipglobal.com and check it out. Linda, I can't thank you enough for coming on with me today and talking about this. I'm so appreciative. I'm hoping that we'll have some young women or older women that may say, you know what, I might need this legacy. I might need this tribe, and come on board and see what a wonderful experience it is.
Yeah, I tell you, the community is strengthened with every new member that joins. The community, the global community of over 10,000 women, only increases in value and impact and connectedness and really just giftedness with every new member that joins. So if you're interested in stepping into your purpose and stepping into your passion and connecting in an authentic, genuine way with other significant leaders around the world, then please, let's have a conversation. I'd love to meet you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And I hope that 2022 is an absolutely fabulous year for you. I know it's going to be for LeadHERship because I know you've got a lot of wonderful things going on. And for those of you, truly, this is an organization you do need to check out and get to know Linda. She is absolutely amazing. So thank you for joining me. Okay, everybody, I'll be back with another Kick Butt LeadHERship interview, and you'll be surprised who's coming next. Okay, bye now. Have a great New Year's. Bye-bye.